It's 2024. A 14-year-old girl called Celeste Abigail Rivas Hernandez disappeared from her home in Lake Elsinore, California. Between February and April 2024, her desktop parents contacted the Riverside County Sheriff's Department 3 separate times to report her missing. During the initial missing person investigation, law enforcement examined Celeste's phone records and traced her communication, linking her to a phone number registered to David Anthony Burke. Despite community searches, local missing person flyers, and law enforcement inquiries, the full extent of her whereabouts remained unknown to her family for over a year. The case almost went cold until workers at a Hollywood tow yard detected a very horrible foul smell coming from a Tesla X model that changed everything. It's your girl Vanessa, and today we are going to unmask the chilling case of the American artist David and Celeste Rivas. While Celeste's family was searching for answers, wanting to know the whereabouts of their beloved Celeste, David, on the other hand, was living his best life. He was a 20-year-old music artist and experiencing a meteoric rise in the Indian pop and alternative music scene under the stage name David. He was going for shows, recording music videos, and performing on big stages. Before we dive deeper into this story, let's take a second look at who David was. You see, David was a rising star and he was raised in a strict household and homeschooled. David Burke originally began making music on SoundCloud to avoid copyright strikes on his gaming videos whenever he played games and uploaded it on social media. In 2022, his single Romantic Homicide went viral on TikTok, garnering over 1 billion streams and landing him a major record deal with Interscope and Darkroom Records. David's artistic persona leaned heavily into dark melancholic themes, often adopting a violent alter ego named Itami, a Japanese word for pain. However, behind his viral success and a growing stardom lay an illicit relationship that would soon dismantle his career. Prosecutors alleged that Burke had engaged in a relationship, secretive and abusive, with a Nickelodeon-aged girl. So as David's profile continued to rise towards the release of his debut studio album, tension between the two escalated. That's between he and his secret girlfriend. On the night of April 22nd, 2025, text messages revealed an intense argument between Celeste and David. Celeste, in these text messages, threatened to expose their relationship to her parents and the public, explicitly texting David that she would end his career. Side note, Celeste's parents knew about Celeste's relationship with David, but at this time they thought the relationship was over. You see, Celeste's parents had initially reported this relationship to the police, stating that they do not want David anywhere close to their daughter. The police then reached out to David, and when they questioned him, David claimed he didn't know about Celeste's age. This pushed the police to give a formal warning. For this reason, it is alleged that David desperately did not want this relationship to go public. But what exactly could cause David and Celeste's heated argument? Social media speculate that the argument was based off on Celeste wanting more attention from David. It's alleged that Celeste wanted the relationship to be public, but David constantly privated the relationship. But investigators argue differently. They claim that David was in another relationship, and when Celeste found out, this made her very furious. When investigators broke into David's phone, they realized that on the evening of April 23rd, 2025, David ordered an Uber to transport Celeste from Lake Elsinore to his Hollywood Hills residence. Approximately 10:30 p.m., shortly after sending a final text stating she had arrived, Celeste entered David's home. Investigators state that her phone went permanently silent moments later. Prosecutors alleged that Burke used a sharp object on her upon entry, making no attempt to seek medical assistance. It is unclear whether there was an argument before this happened or Celeste was immediately attacked upon entering David's house. This is not the first time Celeste has been reported missing. That is why this time, her parents had to report her about 3 separate times before it was taken seriously. On the first ever missing person report, Celeste was allegedly hiding in David's house. It was said that David's manager reached out to him and made him know that Celeste's payment was seriously looking for her. This made Celeste appear back home suddenly. Social media speculates that David and his management crew knew about the relationship. Not just David, not just his management, but even David's friends. On April 17, 2026, the law finally caught up with the rising star. LAPD officers formally arrested 21-year-old David Burke, bringing his music career to an immediate halt. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office filed formal charges including first-degree murder with special circumstances laying in wait, financial gain, and unaliving a witness, alongside continuous essay abuse of a young adult and unlawful mutilation of a human remains. Standing in a downtown Los Angeles courtroom, Burke entered a plea of not guilty. During an intense 5-day preliminary hearing in July 2026, prosecutors presented a mountain of crime evidence, graphic autopsy results, detailed cell phone locations and records, and final text messages where Celeste warned Burke that she would end his life and career. For months, Celeste remained missing. The horrific reality came to light on September 8, 2025 in Hollywood Toll Yard. Workers called the police after detecting a severe odor coming from an impounded Tesla Model X registered to Burke. When police responded to this phone call and rushed to the scene, upon opening the car's front trunk, officers made a horrific discovery. Celeste's dismembered remains packed into heavy-duty storage bags. Due to advanced decomposition, identifying the body required weeks of painstaking forensic testing. When detectives executed search warrants at David's residence, where he rented at Hollywood Hills home, and analyzed digital evidence, a calculated, gruesome timeline emerged. It is alleged that this is the murder tools David used. Records show that the morning after Celeste arrived at his house, Burke used an alias to order a shovel, 3 chainsaws, a heavy-duty body bag, and a blue inflammable pool. Prosecutors alleged that Burke killed Celeste, placed her body in the inflammable pool, and dismembered her with the chainsaw. Cellular tower data and vehicle telemetry placed Burke's Tesla along a rural stretch of State Road 154 in Santa Barbara. This exact location where a highway patrol officer later recovered Celeste's missing passport. This passport was tossed along a dirt embankment. Subsequent police investigation at Burke's Hollywood Hills home uncovered extensive forensic evidence. There were DNA and blood stains at David's home. Chemical tests in Burke's garage revealed hidden blood traces matching Celeste's DNA profile. Her DNA was on items including a rowing machine, a rubber floor mat, and the Tesla charging equipment. Investigators also tracked his digital footprint. Cellular data and vehicle navigation records placed Burke in the area where Celeste's passport was later recovered. The police weren't done. They also checked all his text logs. Investigators recovered critical text exchanges between David and Celeste, detailing their argument and final logistics on the night of her death. Now, this is where the public and social media exploded with rage. At this point, David has not been found guilty of anything yet for over 2 years, so obviously, David felt invisible. For nearly 5 months following her sudden silence, Celeste's family endured agonizing uncertainty, unaware that her remains lay hidden in plain sight. In April 2026, David Burke was formally arrested and charged with first-degree murder, continual SA abuse of a young adult, and unlawful mutilation of a human remains. Burke pleaded not guilty to all charges. Defense attorney attempted to challenge the DNA evidence handling and raised argument regarding third-party access to the Hollywood residence. However, Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge Carlian Omido ruled that the prosecution had met its burden, finding overwhelming probable cause for Burke to stand trial on all counts. Now, David is held without bail, faces a potential sentence of life imprisonment without parole, or even worse, the death penalty. And as he waits on his trial, he seemed not to be ready to tell the world what really happened. During the preliminary hearing in July 2026, prosecutors presented graphic forensic testimony, autopsy details, and timeline of Celeste's final hours. Defense attorneys argued against the interpretations of the physical evidence and questioned the handling of the DNA testing in the garage. Following 5 days of testimony, the judge determined there were overwhelming probable cause for Burke to stand trial on all counts. David remained held without bail as he waits his upcoming trial. For now, the public and the family of Celeste hope to receive answers when this trial finally ends. The tragic story of Celeste Rivas Hernandez leaves behind devastating questions. Questions about accountability, influence, and the system designed to protect the vulnerable. For over a year, a 14-year-old girl remained missing, her voice silent while an abuser hid behind a glimpse of fame, wealth, and viral stardom. It forces us to ask an uncomfortable question. Does the wheels of justice turn far too slow when the person under scrutiny holds power and influence? Celeste fell victim to a predator disguised under the veil of affection and promises. Tragically, her parents desperately searching for answers, reaching out to law enforcement, and struggling to navigate a relationship they could no longer control, were left helpless as she slipped away into the dark. As David Burke awaits his final fate behind bars, Celeste's story stands as a heartbreaking reminder of how easily young adults can be exploited and the devastating cost paid when justice takes far too long to arrive. For a love story that went dark, watch this next video where a married woman killed her other husband. This will shock you to the bone. I'll see you there.